What's up, golf friends? This is Jim Colton, and this is a Driven Golf Podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts and special interviewer, Andrew Lewis. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing?
That's right. Hey, guys. What's up, Jim?
We got a special episode, this one, episode 15. We have our first PGA Tour pro as a guest, Raul Pereda, PGA Tour rookie. You want to tell us a little bit about, Raul's path to the PGA? I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I've been following Raul for the past probably 5 years because I coach some guys that play against him, and it's been fun to watch him. He's very, very consistent player on the Latin America Tour, which is now America's. And, he's one of those rare guys that got to skip going to Korn Ferry, which we talk a little bit about on the pod because of his amazing run at Q School last year. Getting through those 3 stages is very, very rare. And he has a really cool story of how he really got through second. And then his back 9 of the final day of stage 3 is just crazy. So
I mean, if you think about it, he's benefited from sort of just being in the moment and playing, great golf at the exact right time, because if this had happened 12 months ago, Q School didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
They brought back the ability to get 5 cards through the 3 stages of Q School, and he was one of the 5. So he's been playing in a handful of events so far this year. Just played in San Antonio and Houston the previous week. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, has such a positive outlook and such a pragmatic outlook in terms of his golf game, his development, and really just somebody who you just can't help but root for. I was just really enthralled by your interview with him.
Yeah, now that we've met, I mean, I had not met him before, but now that we've had the discussion, he's definitely highlighted on my PGA Tour app. So I was super pumped he made the cut in Houston. And I totally agree. He knows exactly how he plays golf. He definitely doesn't play you'd say maybe the typical way of just bomb and gouge golf courses. I mean, he's definitely more of a tactician just because he doesn't hit it super far, but he's incredibly skilled. Which, I mean, as we'll talk about in the pod, he chipped in twice on the back 9 of the last round of Q School. So he's very, very good at the things he's good at. And I think he does have a chance of definitely keeping his card, which is going to be, something to see if that kind of happens for him.
I think one of the interesting things that I probably learned or just took for granted is just about how he's had to pivot his game as a PGA Tour rookie. The thing that got him there is not necessarily the thing that's going to keep him there. And I think he's, again, taken just an honest, pragmatic look about his game, his equipment, and, the toolbox that he needs to be able to compete week in and week out on the PGA Tour now that he's playing, against the world's best.
Yeah. Plus, he's playing all these places for the first time. That's got to be a thing. I mean, I know down in Latin, he played the same places. So I kind of think that if he can figure that out and he gets to see these, if he can get through this year, that he'll have a very, very good next year, because he'll kind of know heading in. We talk a little bit about just the difference going to different grass and different elevation and spin and things like that he really hadn't had to deal with. I mean, somewhat in Latin America, but nothing like the level they are on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing with some of the live departures, he is the only PGA Tour member from Mexico. So he's really representing a nation. So maybe we have some new listeners to the pod.
That's right. I hope so. They should. Yeah. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely listen to the end, because there's a little Easter egg at the end of this episode, a little bilingual Easter egg. So a little
there is. That's right. It is. Yes, I remember.
So we also talk about for golfers who want to be where Raul is today, but now are maybe currently shooting in that 78-ish range, maybe high school golfers. Last episode, we talked about some of the short game. This episode, we talk about driving distance and improving driving distance. I saw this past week, you did a little plug for the stack, little 118, I think I saw.
I mean, the radar is broken, but yes, it did say 118. I hit the other day on TrackMan, and the TrackMan does have the update, but I think I got to 114, but maybe I was cruising because there was no ball there. But yeah, I've got some events coming up, so I was like, man, I gotta get my club head speed back up. It's definitely down. I'm almost 40. I mean, I got to be giving attention to it. So, and I can also say, if I'm doing it and then everyone I coach isn't, then I can totally roast them because they're not even trying. So there's your fair warning.
Yeah. I need to I'm doing my best to try to keep up. I'm a decade older than you, so
Yeah.
so. But anyways, with that, this is episode 15 with Raul Pereda. I believe that you will be rooting for him just like we are after this episode. Such a great guy.
Yeah,
all right, thanks, Andrew.
Yep. Raul, thanks for joining, man. Welcome to the Driven Golf Podcast.
Thank you very much, guys, for inviting me. It's just such an honor to be here, and we'll keep it fun. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely, man. So, I know you. I've been following you for years. I coach some guys that play Latin. That was kind of your upbringing, right? In professional golf was to start in Latin. So I've been paying attention to you. You've been beating all the guys that I coach for years. So if they're listening, I'm sorry.
Let me hear some names.
Well, Jose Nero.
Yeah.
You've known Jose forever.
Forever. We travel in Latin America together for so long, and every time I'm in Dallas, I see him.
Yeah.
We text every day, and when he doesn't text me, I'm like, "You, bro, what are you doing? Like, I miss you. You need to."
He's busy. He's getting married, and
he got married.
He got married.
He's been caddying at I think Dallas National or Merida.
Yeah, probably Merida. Yeah,
Merida. Every time I call him, he says, "Oh, I'm working out." But like, what type of workouts are you doing? I keep seeing more fat rolls on you. But
I wouldn't. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. And then I coach George Toon.
George Toon, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
so George, yeah. George had a good year last year. He's going to be playing. Which I'd love to get your thoughts on America's Tour versus Latin and Canada. But yeah, so he's playing full schedule on that. I think he's fully exempt through the Latin swing. So yeah, I know you. Obviously you got a little bit of pub with going through Q school. That was your chip-ins, all of those things went viral. So,
yeah.
But I think a lot of our listeners, because you're a PGA Tour rookie and they probably don't pay attention necessarily to developmental tours like I do and like Jim probably does. So I would love just to kind of you introduce us to you, the golfer, not necessarily from like day one, but just kind of like what your golf has looked like from like when you became like a competitive junior. And I know you were a very, very successful college player, just kind of a brief understanding of what that's like. And then secondly, like, when did you know that you could do this? Like, and what was that like sign that you knew that you could do this for a living?
Well, I was just telling Fernando, I grew up playing the regional tournaments in Mexico and then the national events, then college. But to be honest, I was a late bloomer.
Oh, really? Okay.
I developed a good understanding of the game through college, and my coach, or my old coach, I got to understand the swing and the dynamics so much better. I know what everything happens and what the movements do on your swing. Sometimes it's just hard to fix yourself when you don't have eyes behind you that is telling you, okay, it looks like this, but it doesn't look like that, or it doesn't feel like that. You know how those things look and feel is so much different. But then I think my junior year, I got so much better with the team.
Junior year of college?
Yes.
Yeah.
We got to nationals first time ever in the program. I think we made it to nationals. We played at Rich Harvest Farms.
But you went to Jacksonville, correct?
I did, yeah, with Jacksonville University. And then my senior year probably was one of the years that I enjoyed golf the most. It's not that I don't enjoy it now. Of course, I enjoy what I do, but it was a year that it felt like I was just walking in a field of daisies. It's just with that
I've
song,
never done that. I've never walked in a field of daisies.
It's just such a peaceful year for me. And I played, I don't remember how many events I played that year, but I think I might have finished 7 top 10s that year.
Wow.
In my senior year, I was first alternate for Palmer Cup. And, of course, I couldn't be more or higher in the rankings because of sometimes the strength of our schedule wasn't the best. So,
right. Makes sense.
You can compete with Gardner Webb one week and next week with UF. Of course, the field where UF is in is going to give you more points than where Gardner Webb is in. Nothing against Gardner Webb, but just saying. Yeah. When did I really think that this was a chance? When I was 17, before going to college, I got invited to play a pro event of the Mexican Professional Tour then in Puebla, just where I played my regional events and everything. And I won. I won that event, first amateur ever to do so in Mexico. And I think, well, I remember vividly that I told my mom, not going to college. This is so easy. I'm going to turn pro. And she was like,
it is so
kid,
easy.
you've got so much to learn. You're going to college. Don't even try. So I went to college and I don't regret it. It was the best 4 years of my life.
So what was your recruiting process like? Was your door being knocked down by a bunch of colleges, or was Jackson pretty much your only?
A few of them. So I came to the golf school here in Florida in Jacksonville. First time I did like 3 weeks in the summer. The next summer I came back for like 6 weeks. The next summer I came back for like 7 or 8 weeks, and then I stayed 6 months after that. That was my fall semester of my senior year of high school. I got recruited by Minnesota, UF, UCF, UNF, a lot of Florida schools.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go to UF, not going to lie. That was my dream school. I always wanted to stay in Florida. I started the process with Buddy Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
But then they sort of didn't keep up with it. And then the coach from Jacksonville University, Mike Blackburn, he came and visited me to the academy where I was practicing, and he did like a little interview and he liked my profile, so they took me to visit campus, like a non-official visit. I really liked the campus. Then like 2 weeks later I went back with my brother and my sister-in-law, and we loved it. Then again I took a ride from a friend, and then I went and visited the campus on my own. I'm like, it's pretty obvious that I really like it here. So
yeah,
I committed to go there on December 2013. Very, very committed. Then this happens June 2014, just before going, I won that event as a professional. And I was like, college is going to be great. I'm going to love it. I was so positive about it after my mom said I was not turning professional. And to be honest, I really thank my mom that she made me go to college. That's where I think I developed everything for my game before, just all the maturing that I did in college, from not being able to wake up at 6 or 5:30 for workouts, learning that everyone would get punished if someone was late. So everyone would have to pay for your irresponsibility. And then just how to manage your time through the years, on how to write your essays, how to go to class, how to be able to work out, do your practice, do your homework, do study hall hours, everything, how to make up for the classes that you didn't go. It's just amazing. And I would do it again. I don't tell this to anybody. I hate the school. Everyone does. But I would do it again just because it teaches you so much more than your classes. You become a better person. You become a better athlete. You become a better human being. You are that 1% better if you are determined to be that 1% better. You will always find somewhere or a part in your life where you can be better. It's just from going to bed at 9 instead of going to bed at 10:30, that made a difference. And, then I was able to wake up easier at 5 so I can go to workouts. And then I was able to, in between classes or when I had a couple hours breaks, I would be able to maybe work on my putting for like 30 or 40 minutes. And those were the 30 or 40 minutes I was not able to put after my practice because it was getting dark early. So you will always find time to do something. Or you would start your assignments before they even ask you, and you go ahead. So whenever you have to, submit it, you don't have to stress over like, oh, the due date is tomorrow and I have, 15 pages to write still. So I'm just going to copy paste everything and hope that they don't notice it. They noticed
There was no Chat GPT back then either.
No, there was no Chat GPT, but for sure what I learned also
not that you would have used it. Not that you would have done that.
No,
I would have done. I would have done that.
My computer
I would have done it.
But to be honest, I got to learn that professors are not there to make you fail. There are some professors that don't like athletes for sure. Because we miss so much school.
Yeah,
but
you do.
Professors are there to help you. you just gotta be humble enough to go ask for their help. But we're so stubborn when we're growing up and we're teenagers still, 19s, 18s, that we feel that we rule the world and we know it all. And still we feel like that way sometimes where we are men.
That's what makes
No,
golfers sometimes good.
We're like that. We're so stubborn on things, and it's not like that. Sometimes
That's
it's
too good.
sometimes it's fun to say, I don't know, or can you help me? Or
Yeah.
I was wrong, and I keep getting those things, with my caddy, we have those conversations like, I'm never going to beat you in an argument. Right. And I'm like, nope, we'll tie, but you're never going to beat me.
Right. Yeah. You're the boss.
Yeah. So,
So when you said that you were a late bloomer, I'd like to just talk about that for a second. Do you mean from like a size standpoint, or just performance, maturity? Was it all of it?
I think more on performance in golf. I was very consistent, but I never won. I was not the big winner. I never won in college. I won a couple of national events, couple of, regional events. I never won in Latin America. I've won tournaments as a professional. I won 2 on the Mexican Professional Tour. I won the Tampa Open. I've won a handful of them. Never won in Latin America. I finished second, I finished third, I finished fourth, I finished fifth, I finished sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. I think the last 2 years in Latin America, I had so many top 10s.
Yeah, you did. Every week it seemed like.
Almost every week that I made the cut, I finished top 10. So I was like, one day that I catch fire, I'm going to win. And that tournament that I caught some fire on the greens, that was the Peru Open, going into the last round, of course you're nervous. Of course I haven't been in that position so many times because I've always come from behind. And I remember I birdied the first 3 holes, and I'm like, yeah, boy, I got this today. It's my day. And then Jose Toledo, he goes and, birdies 1 and 3, then he eagles 6, birdies 7, 8, 9, 10. And all of a sudden I'm like 4 back again. I'm like, okay, I'm playing for second place. And that's when I started also, I'm not being negative, but I'm being realistic.
Realistic, for sure.
Because he's someone that's got the experience.
There's a difference between those two things, yeah.
Yeah, someone's got the experience. He's been out there for so many years. He played on Korn Ferry Tour. He's played PGA Tour events. He's played Asian Tour, whatever. And I knew he had it under control. So unless I eagle 16, birdie 17 and 18, I was not going to catch him. And I shot 18 under or 16 under. He shot 22. I'm like,
you got to put your hands up and just say, hey, good job, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was a late bloomer because I never won. I've won in every tournament that I've won. I've never won by 1. Is when you catch some heat on the greens or you don't miss shots and you hold out from like just off the green and you win by 3 or 4. But never really just won on Latin America. And I think that was something that I really wanted to do. And that was so stressful because for me, I thought that was an answer to my prayers to win. But I think that the Latin America Tour taught me so much more than winning. It's just about just enjoying all those weeks on the road, being able to play good 4 days, being able being able to be
That's
more
the first time you've done that, right?
Scores. Yeah. So being able to be more consistent on your scores and be so disciplined on where you're going to hit the ball. Try not to be a hero. I was telling Fernando, just not to be a hero, not to pull out those hero shots because you're probably going to hit 2 out of 10. And to be honest, that's just something that, in my opinion, social media has distortion for us a lot because everything we see in social media are the perfect or the good shots or the perfect rounds that they hit, on the PGA Tour. And you saw Rory today have it 7 deep, but
2 balls in the water too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you see those things in the water because he was a feature group and this and so whatever. Still shot 7 under, but he hit some average shots out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But his average is, I flirted right and I still have 16 feet or 20 feet to the green, to the pin, or to the hole. When we flirted right and we are chipping from 30 yards.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. When they're the best and their ball striking is at their best, I've noticed that their misses are just, they can still make a 25-footer putt and they make
So
a birdie.
what is that like though? Back to the Latin America tour. So you're playing with guys that are chasing it. So as you're playing the Latin tour and you're finishing top 5, top 10, is that starting to give you a sense that you are going to graduate from this to Korn Ferry, the PGA Tour? Like, were you surprised at what happened based on how you were doing, or did it feel like that was kind of out of nowhere?
I was not surprised, but it was definitely. I pulled the Mexican trick and I skipped the line for Korn Ferry.
Yeah, right.
So,
I do want to talk about Q School in detail, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, yes. I did see myself going through Korn Ferry, to be honest. I did see myself getting through second stage or going to finals. You got to remember, I know if you follow enough, or back in the day where I finished, I think after COVID that year, I finished 11th. I needed to finish sixth.
I saw that.
Tied for 6th or better. No, tied for 5th or better in the last event to finish top 10. And I finished tied for
to get
6th.
To finals.
Yeah, and I finished
top 10 on the developmental tours.
Yeah,
at least it did.
It took you to finals, and then the following year I needed tied for 4th or better, and I finished 5th. So I was like getting so desperate about things because I was so close, but I missed so many cuts, and the tournaments where I didn't miss the cuts, I finished high. But then I was like, the last year I was like, if I finished 11th and I finished 25th, it is exactly the same thing. It's giving me the same. Stage. So I'm not going to give too much of a... I'm not going to put too much weight on my shoulders to have the high finishes, because unless I finish 10th, finishing 24th or 25th is the same thing. So what I did is I try to make the cut at every event, because I always thought, if I'm going to have those 2 or 3 high finishes, then I need the extra points where I didn't make the cuts.
Yeah.
And I sort of did. I think I've missed 3 cuts of the tournaments of the whole year. But I made the cut at tournaments that I have never made the cut. But one thing went different, and then I got to play the PGA Tour last year, and I played lights out. I was able to hold off from 250 yards.
Yeah.
I hit
I went viral.
I shot a bogey-free round on my first round on the PGA Tour, 66. I was tied for second, and I think I got to be like tied for second with 27 holes to play. And then, of course, thoughts and things got in my head. And I don't regret finishing 60th. I don't at all. But the fact that I was able to navigate those waters and feel so comfortable out there, then I was like, then I'm ready for this, or I'm prepared for when this time comes. Then I got to second stage, and everyone, listen to this, everyone has asked me, why do you always go to California and not play in Florida when you live in Florida? I'm like, because everyone goes to Florida, and Florida, it's a place where you have to shoot so low because the courses are wide.
So to reset for the listeners, so you were exempt through first stage because you finished high enough on the Latin America money list. Mm-hmm. And so you went to Valencia, California, where historically the scores are pretty high relative to some places in Florida, but you got to shoot like 10, 12 under to make it through. So you've gone to Valencia the last few years.
I went to Valencia last year.
Valencia was the first time in a while.
I went to Bear Creek in California, which good golf course, ball striking golf course, but that course could be a little not rewarding for good ball striking still. Then I saw Valencia, and I'm like, this course has never been played for Q School. It'll be a new test for everyone except for the local California players. And I'm like, I'm signing up for there. I'm gonna get dibs on my side because I made it through, and I was able to skip through first,
which is nice.
And the weather will be cold, greens will be firm, and you don't have to be super low. And I knew one day had to be horrible weather.
And it was
4 days of cold weather,
cold, windy,
and the last round it blew so hard that the cut moved from 4 under to even or 1 under.
Yeah, so let's go to
4 under.
let's go to the
100.
last day, right? So walk us through your last day. For those that don't know, you made it through on the number.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, you know, Mitchell missing a putt or somebody making a putt to knock you out. You got your ultimate like repayment. Because what happened?
Because Alex Chirella finished
Chirella.
double bogey, last few holes to get me through the door.
To get you in.
Yeah.
You advanced to final. But what was that like sitting there? You're finished, and you know that your hopes and dreams rely on how somebody else is going to play.
You know, first of all, I had a horrible summer. I had a horrible summer where I put my clubs in the garage for 2 months and I didn't want to touch a club. I played so much golf and I felt like I didn't get anywhere.
Mm.
I was defeating myself so hard. I was beating myself up. And it's just as stressful, man. It's just as stressful to be out there and shooting 10 under every week. And I'm like, oh, great. I finished 15th. Now I shoot 10 under and I finish tied for 42nd. You know, when I make a little bit more money.
Yeah. Right.
But I told myself that it's always that thought of what's going to happen if I don't make it through. What am I going to do next year? Is it going to be my last year? Where am I going to get the resources from? Once I was able to be 100% convinced on if I didn't make it, it didn't matter. I was just going to try again. A lot of things got better in my head.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's like, if I don't make birdie on hole 1, I'm going to try to birdie hole 2. And if I don't birdie hole 2, I'm going to try to birdie hole 3. And it's just like a boxing fight. You know, you get 18 rounds where you're going to hit or you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what golf is. You get 18 rounds of a fight every day and you're going to get hit no matter what. And it could be not a bogey, but you could be having to make a 15-footer for par or, you know, hitting one in the rough and the ball sitting down. You know, that's getting hit.
Yeah, bad break. Right.
Bad break.
Rub of the green. Yeah.
And you think that, oh, I got hit because I made triple bogey. Yeah, well, you got hit twice in one hole. That's what I call that.
Yeah.
You know, I got to California. JP, the guy that's scouting for me today, he went with me, and I love how much he knows about golf. He played at Aiken back in the day. He caddied for Bobby Diaz for a while. He's caddied for Abraham Anser. He's caddied for Camilo Villegas. He's got the experience in the bag. You know, he didn't really have to know the course or my game enough to just navigate me through that round. And yeah, I've made some mistakes. I wasn't making anything. I didn't make really anything. I was not spinning the ball enough. I was hitting the driver like crap, but I was able to keep it in front of me. You know, I only struggled hitting the driver on the 18th hole, and that was.
I heard that par 5 was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but that was every round because I didn't have enough spin to cover the first bunker. So the first day I flirted right, second day I flirted right, and the next 2 days I pulled it left in the rough. And actually the last round the tees were up and I'm like downwind of the right. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to ride the wind and I'm going to send it all the way down so I can probably push for, I needed the birdie the last hole to feel like.
Yeah, in your mind you're thinking I gotta make 4.
So I snap cook it and I put it in the fairway bunker on number 1.
Okay, yeah. A little left.
I was against the lip and I'm like, perfect. But that last round, I knew, he told me the best players are the best players when they play, when they come to play, when they have to play. I don't know if you guys can catch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
they show up to play when they need to.
Yeah.
And it was blowing like 25 that day, cold. And we knew that the number was not going to get lower. It was just going to get higher. And I didn't have to do anything extraordinary to just get in contention. I think I was like a couple under or 1 under for a few holes. I was playing with Simon Bay. He withdrew after 9. Ironic because he was 3 under through 4, and then he got a couple double bogeys. That was, for me, the best example of, like, I quit trying without knowing what it could happen, And I was 1 under, made bogey, finished even par, but he was a couple under. He made a double bogey. He was 1 over through 9. I'm sure that when he saw the leaderboard,
He thought he
at
was
the end,
too
he
far.
was like, what did I do? I could have just made 2 birdies or 1 birdie, and I would have been fine to go to finals. And to be honest, I knew that if I got it through finals, or if I got through second stage, going to finals was just home game for me.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So I was lucky enough. I want to say it. I was lucky enough that Alex Charella made those mistakes coming in, and I got through. Then I was like, I felt so comfortable in that situation. Windy, wet, tight courses. You had to really hit it good and really hit it in the fairway.
At final stage.
At final stage, Dice Valley, it's a little more straightforward. Suckers Country Club can get dicey. The wind impact is so much more than the Valley course. And I know those courses like the palm of my hand. I played them so many times during college. I played them so many times after college. I felt like out of the entire field of finals, I had the most rounds in those courses. I want to say so. So I never really stressed over those rounds. I felt anxious for sure going in the last round of Q school because I knew that my round was going to be determined by how and where I hit my driver on the first hole. Because you're so more than anxious, I was just excited to go out to play because I was playing so good, and we had a full day off because of the weather.
That's right.
We had a Monday finish, and I hit this mid trajectory baby draw, and I'm like, oh boy, you boys hold tight because I'm coming home.
I'm coming home from the daisy field.
I laid up in the first hole on the par 5 to up maybe 10-yard fairway, right in the middle of it to 115 yards. I'm like, back pin, soft greens, a perfect stock 54 wedge for me, and I airmail the green. I'm like, okay, you're a little jacked right now. So
adrenaline. You're going to learn about adrenaline now. Yes.
Yeah, so I made a good up and down. And then I kept on going. I birdied 3, birdied 5, and I was 2 under through.
Yeah, you were cruising, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, great. Then I hit one in the water on 6, and I'm like, man, I hope this doesn't become a disaster because that hole is so hard. Then I had to drop in the middle of the cross bunker to like 280 yards. And of course, you drop in the bunker, you're not gonna get a good lie.
Plug, right? Yep.
So it's plugged. So I popped one up, and I still had like 170 yards. I hit about 40 feet, and I'm like fighting in my head saying, Raul, don't try to make it, don't try to make it, don't try to make it, lag it.
Just 2-putt, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I did that perfect.
That's great.
Going into 8, I flared one right, hit the carpet, go out of bounds, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Why back to back? All the week I hit my perfect draw, and out of these 2 shots.
So let's pause. What are you saying? Because again, going back to what you were saying earlier, like what people see on TV is they think that you guys don't hit bad shots. And here you are telling me you just hit one left, now you blocked one right, OB, your wheels are spinning. And I think that people think that just doesn't happen, right? But I always say, of course that happens. But the reason that you're on the PGA Tour is you are able to deal with the adversity better than everybody else. So like, what are you, like, honestly, what conversation are you having in your head and with your caddy in that moment?
My caddy was like, my coach caddy for me that day, that tournament, finals. He is Swedish. His feelings are like nothing.
Zero.
Like perfectly level. And when I hit it in the water, he was just giving me the best advice, where to drop and, the best line and what to do, not to compromise any more shots and just
beautiful.
Suck it up on that double bogey. And then
is what it is. Move on.
The next hole, it was a loose swing. It was bad luck that it hit the carpet and went out of bounds.
That's good perspective. Yeah.
Again, I knew the course, I knew the conditions, and I knew that there were so many opportunities out there.
Yeah.
For birdie. But the greens were so soft too that people were gonna stress on not making putts. I weighed 143 pounds and I was leaving dents on the greens. So you can imagine
they
everyone
were
is
soft.
heavier than me. So,
Yeah.
I was, on 7 after I hit that one out of bounds, knocked it to 4 feet, made bogey. And that is momentum for me.
Yeah. That's
Even
a
though you
huge
make a
bogey.
bogey, that is momentum. Then that's when the fun begins. When you're on the back nine on the
This is what started getting
This
all
is when the
the
tournament
social
starts.
media. Right.
Then I was able to
so
start.
you're in a good position. What you're around like 6th?
I think I was tied for, after those 2 bogeys, I was like 1 out.
Yeah. Which, for those listening, getting top 5, you get your PGA Tour card.
Correct.
So 9 holes to go. I mean, how amazing is that? Like the whole thing, your whole year, you're sitting with 9 holes to go with a chance to earn your PGA Tour card.
It sounds amazing,
are you thinking about that at all? Like, did that cross your mind?
Line of laying an egg and
I know.
becoming a superhero.
Yeah. Are you able to block those thoughts out? Or are you kind of like embracing, like, let's go? This is what I've been wanting my whole life.
I think I was able to embrace a lot of things, block a lot of things, but then I was able to have, when you're walking from tee to green, from one green to the next tee, you have those 2 minutes of like, oh man, you're getting closer. You can feel the taste. You can taste it already, and it's just, that is so amazing to feel, but it's such a wrong thing to feel. Because that's just anxiety. That is just getting ahead of yourself, and that's when it comes. I'm saying such a fine line, because things could have gone south for me, and I could have said I had it and I'd let it go, and I would have beat myself so hard, even though I had full Korn Ferry status, because I had it in my hands and let it go, right?
Yeah.
But again, I knew the back 9 like the palm of my hand, and I think that's what kept me calm, knowing the opportunities out there.
And those that don't know, you proceed to chip in twice.
Yeah.
In a couple holes.
I chipped in on 10, which it was, I hit it on the left rough, which is perfect, to a back left pin. I'm like, okay, I may catch a flyer, but let's not play for the flyer. And I had a little mud, so I went
mud ball
with one left. But it ended up being a little teed up, down grain, and I'm like, perfect. I can be aggressive in this chip, and I know it's gonna turn left, and it's gonna hit a soft bounce if I hit it with my 54 or my 50, and it's just gonna release. All I gotta do is read it the right way.
Read it like a putt, and you made it.
And I made it.
Unbelievable. At this point, like, what is the anxiety level relative to playing second stage Latin America event? Is it the same? Is it harder to control your thoughts and emotions, or you feel like you felt pretty comfortable at this point?
Well, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I felt pretty comfortable. And you get to 16, and that's when the roller coaster begins a little bit. But that's when I was able to embrace it the most. And again, I just kept repeating myself, and I was so calm, saying, it doesn't matter. If you don't make it, it doesn't matter. That's when I would think I was able to free up my swing. Plus, I knew I didn't have to hit it far, because the ball was not rolling anywhere. So I was not going to gain 15, 20 yards of roll, and nobody's getting anywhere with the wind. So, I just had to play. I had to play chess. So then I missed the green on 14, and if you could have seen that lie.
Is this the one on the upslope that you chipped in?
Yeah.
That was a terrible lie. You made a huge divot.
My caddy and I were like, let's try to hit this one within 10 feet. Because you were going to get a lot of roll. It was going to get knuckly. And we just wanted that chance for par, because I putted so well. I think inside of 5 feet the whole week I made everything. I think I was 100%. And I was dropping some 10, 15 footers. So let's just get a chance for par, hit a good putt, and if not, we get to work. That thing came out like a putt. It rolled in so soft.
It was beautiful. It was amazing.
You heard the broadcast. They were like, man, you should start missing more greens.
I know, they're telling you to miss greens.
And I think that's when I cut momentum. Hardest tee shot of all of them, 16. That's a tight tee shot. I hit a nice draw again. I hit it in the fairway, and I'm like, if you don't see that these things are, that you're able to keep these things under control, then you're not looking at the right things. I laid up so good too, and we were looking at shot between 75 and 90 yards, and I laid up to 83 yards. No, 87 yards. I'm like, perfect. The way I was hitting it, I knew where the pin was. I know what the green does. They were so soft that my landing area became from 3 feet to 30 feet because I was able to hit it so far right, and the ball was just going to spin to the hole with how soft the greens were. And I think I aimed 5 yards to the right. I hit this beautiful mid-trajectory 54-degree, landed a yard past the pin, or pin high, and just spun back, trickled down the hill, hit about 3 feet, make a birdie, and then I'm like, now I know I'm safe.
It's over.
Now I just need to, walk home. Downwind of the left downwind of the right on 17. It's a par 5 that we play par 4, and I'm like, I'll be dumb if I aim down the middle, and I actually draw it this time. So I aimed to the middle of the rough on the right. I drew it a little bit, and I caught the rough, and I'm like, okay. I played for a flyer, didn't catch a flyer, hit it short of the green. I chipped it nicely, and I thought it was like 3-4 feet, but he ended up being like 7 feet, maybe 6 feet. And my friends remember getting, when I went through my text, they were like, dude, I thought that broke maybe a ball outside. And you aim a good hole or hole and a half to the left of that hole. And dude made it. Again, I was keep catching momentum. I kept catching momentum through the end with those shots. And you think, oh, it was just a safe for par. And it's like, yes, but it's a safe for par that will give me the confidence to pull the driver on the 18th hole and pipe it down the middle, because you could have seen everyone hitting different things to get the water out of play. But again, I had so many rounds from that course that I know that the wind blows left to right, away from the water. I aim it in the middle of the water, and I cut it. And the driver that I was using then, the TSR3, had such low spin rates for me that the ball was never going to go left. So it was game for me. But I was so smart again to not aim in the middle of the water, because there's always comes that shot with the adrenaline that you get quick, that you get handy, and I could have just hit it straight, maybe double cross it, didn't turn, and I aimed to the middle of the fairway, and I kid you not, I saw the shot tracer once. That thing moved about 2 yards.
Wow.
And I know that when, I get quick, I get pumped, the adrenaline kicks in. I had 170 yards, I think, and 168. And that's a full 8-iron for me. I'm like, nope, I've learned enough. I'm going to pull my 9-iron, hit it.
You remember hole 1?
Yeah, I'm going to hit it normal. And I cut it a little thin, so I was just barely on the front. The green goes sort of diagonal, so it's like the back of the green, but it still has, a short side. So I was just on the French of the back of the green, short of the pin. And I was going to chip it, and I'm like, no, because then if I spin it a little bit, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I grab my putter, and I'm like, whatever. If I 3-putt, it's fine. I'm still in. And I grabbed my putter, and I laid it up from the French with my putter to like 5 feet. And I'm like, perfect. I'm in the best position. It's a flat putt. I can be aggressive. Or just hit a good putt, and that's it. Yeah, I read it going a little bit left to right, but it went left, to be honest. And I did not get mad. I did not get stressed over that, because I hit such a good putt. I hit the putt I wanted with the speed I wanted, and it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. So I can't get mad over that. And then I had the longest 1.5 ever.
Right.
Because then I was able to turn around and look at the leaderboard, and I'm like, okay, I can still miss this one and go, and get.
So at that point, You did not know for sure that you're in or
No,
not. Are you
I
not a
just
leaderboard
knew that
watcher?
I had to birdie 16 to be safe.
Yeah.
You know,
When you're playing normally, are you looking at leaderboards? Are you someone that tries to stick to your process? I'm not really worried about what other people are
it's
doing.
hard. I keep getting yelled at by my caddy to not look at the leaderboard, to not look at everyone's, at other players' putts, because I don't know how they putt, if they put side spin, if they put top spin, if everyone can have a little different technique, and everyone can have clubs that perform the opposite of their misses. So, someone can add some lead tape to the toe so they don't miss it right, and someone can add lead tape, all those things. So he keeps telling me, don't look at their pots and don't look at these things. But then I looked.
So,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on like leaderboard watching. Like if I look at the leaderboard and I see that I'm 4 back, am I going to go make 4 birdies because I know I'm 4 back? Like, no, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value to being able to stick to your game plan until I think you get to like hole 18, like at Q School, and you realize you have a 2-shot cushion. Maybe that changed your strategy, but you've also come to that hole going, okay, this is how I like to play this hole. Like nothing necessarily needs to change the way I would do that. But everybody's a little bit different. I'm sure there are guys that look at the leaderboard religiously, and there's others that come off shooting 57. They're like, I had no idea that I was,
now,
14 under.
I like looking at leaderboards, but then sometimes that's just, if you're not near, like,
What's the
having
point?
a chance to win, what's the point?
Yeah.
And so, too, if you are having a chance to win, that can change how aggressive you play and how you react in the thirds and how tight you get and how handsy you get and out of sequence, and it can throw off a lot of stuff. But some people, like I've done in the past, I've been able to rally those things, make a charge at the end, which I really like to, when you have to really, pedal to the metal.
That may just be a very individual thing that people have to kind of learn over time.
But I think I've learned just to look and not care. Or I'm trying to learn and look and not care and just to stick to my process, because it's hard, man. You make one birdie and you don't move up. Sometimes you just like make one birdie, and when it updates, you're going from T42 to T41 instead of like,
right.
Those things.
So speaking of that, so now you're on the PGA Tour. I think you've played a few events to this point. Like, how would you assess the start to your season? And then what would you say like the biggest surprise is being out there from like a course standpoint? And then just, you're playing a different level of player now, right? Like you're not playing Latin America level players. You're playing the best players in the world. Like, what is that like for you getting used to that?
It's a lot of work and a lot of hours that I have to put now at home, because I never played on the Corn Ferry. And to be honest, I'm thankful for that. But on the other side, it would have been nice to play a year and then did this, because then you would be able to learn so much more, have that learning process. I got to first event in Palm Springs. My 8-iron is spinning 6,500. Coming at
low.
9.5 degree launch.
That's a little low. Yep.
And landing at 32.
32 degree land angle would be pretty flat.
I'm like, yeah, I hit it solid, but I'm not going to stop the ball. I'm not going to launch it in the desert, which you need spin and launch to make the ball go. And I can't hit a draw because the ball just nosedives.
It's not spinning, yeah.
So it's just at a course or a tournament, which is the American Express, where we clearly saw Dunlop go 27 under.
Yeah.
And I battled to shoot 1 under par. Then I'm like, it's not a lot about me. It was my equipment. And of course, at finals, who cared about that? Because I had to keep it low because of the wind. I didn't need extra spin because so much into the wind shots that was creating the spin I needed. And it was wet, so I was creating more spin. So I didn't really have to adapt to anything. I put more weight on my driver, so I was able to like spin it a little bit more. And that didn't really matter then. But
Yeah, I
then
would think, you always hear when guys talk about being in their rookie year, they talk about like needing year to get to know all the facilities and all the courses and like even like little things like that about like equipment changes heading into the West Coast swing, maybe just because of grass types or green surfaces or elevation or air density, things like that. Like, is that what you're kind of seeing? Is that the courses are
well,
just
I always
you're at a
learned,
disadvantage almost because you just don't
I've
know?
always seen the elevation. You're going to play Mexico City, man. You don't want to be playing at 7,000 feet,
Yeah.
But I've always learned that I have such a low spin rates because I developed my game at sea level, Florida, where you don't have to hit it high. You don't see many firm greens. But the firmest greens we ever played in Latin America are the normal type of greens that you play these days on the PGA Tour. So it's like, okay, I need to do something. So I changed shafts, I changed ball, I changed driver head.
It's a lot of change.
Yeah, and
It's a
everyone
lot
was
of
like,
change.
it was
Yeah.
like, why did you change the equipment that got you to the PGA Tour? Is like, because this equipment is gonna make me stay at the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Right. And when you see, well, you of course have both sides of the game. You see Rory hitting it so high, but then you see other guys like Austin Cook that he doesn't hit it high enough, but he creates so much more spin. So it's like, you want to hit it high, yes, but you want to have enough spin. I mean, who's the king of spin? Tiger, in my opinion. Tiger always was able to have the speed of his ball because he shaped the ball. And to shape the ball, you need spin. And we saw what happened. Everyone these days, every golf manufacturer, every golf company, they're creating drivers that spin less and balls that
go further. Spin
that spin less too. So that's what they're doing. They're maximizing the roll more than the flight. But to be honest,
basically from like college through all of your professional golf, you haven't had to make like crazy adjustments to your golf game. But now that you're on the PGA Tour, you're feeling like you're having to. So is it just the equipment, or you feel like, for example, you're having to try to hit like some like more cuts to create a little bit more loft and spin on certain situations?
I like moving the ball. I grew up hitting fades, draws, highs, lows, everything. So I have the technique to do all those shots.
Okay, so you're already doing all that.
I know how to move the ball both ways, but I always like hitting a draw. But I think I gave up hitting a draw because my draws were just diving.
Yeah.
So I became a fade player. But I cannot I cannot hit a fade when I have a draw path. So I'm like, today, now with the clubs that I have and the ball and shaft combo that I have, I can see the ball turning that much more. Actually doing what the path of my swing is supposed to do. And now I have to feel like my feeling is to leave the face open to feel like it's sort of a square. Now I'm hitting so many flare rights.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, that's in play. This is not such an aggressive shot. And I'm learning that if I want to hit a draw, I don't, it's just a slight draw. Make it just sort of chase the pin. If I want to hit a fade, just make it fall right, not go out glance. And
yeah, so how you were talking about how you grew up kind of hitting different shots. Are you noticing now, though, that you have to, the reason why you need to hit a fade is different? It's not necessarily because I need to curve it to the right, but it's to create almost like to take a couple yards off and to create an excessive amount of spin. Like, is that a difference?
Yeah, but I don't with the equipment now, I don't need to create the spin.
So it's creating it on its own.
Yeah. It's just, if you want to get close to a right pin without compromising anything, you're going to hit a fade. And if you, you overcook it, you are by the pin, you hit something that just falls right, you're 10 feet. And if something goes straight, you're 20 feet. And you still in play, But it is so nice. And I've learned with the other guys that I've been able to play, it's like there's guys that they have only one shot pattern.
Yeah.
So if they have a right pin, they know that ball is going to move 3 yards to the left.
So just
So
aim
they
at
aim
it.
to the right edge and they turn it to the pin. If they don't want to flare, or they don't want to play with the right edge, they aim to the pin. They move it 3-4 yards left, and they still have a 15-footer.
Yeah.
And with how
They just
good,
own their shot.
yeah, with how
Yeah.
good the greens are out there on the PGA Tour, everything's pretty makeable. And I was when I put a foot on, La Quinta and PGA West, I'm like, I don't even want to put my spikes here. I don't want to mess it up. It's so perfect. And that's the thing, everything is so perfect out there that it really proves you how good you are. And
So is this now you've played with some incredible players. Like I know you're friends with a lot of the guys that have gone to live, and so you've seen tour level golf. Has it been surprising playing with some of the guys of like how good they are? Or is it more, again, that's social media saying like, man, these guys, it's really not that much different than what I've been playing?
Both. I'll let you know when I play with Rory or Justin Thomas. That's when I think I will really know how good they are.
Yeah.
But that they're good, they are good. I mean, they're amazingly good, because you will see that the guys that are top players in the world, I had an okay week and I finished 15th.
Yeah. Just printing money.
You saw Scotty Scheffler it wasn't his best week last week. Nowhere close to what we've seen him play.
And he wins by 5.
Yeah. I'm like, but you can see the difference of someone that doesn't shape the ball too much. And if he wants to hit a fade, doesn't matter if that ball moves 15, 30 yards to the right, that the intention of moving right, it's there. He wants to hit a draw, doesn't matter if he overcooks it, the intention of moving it left is there. Because what happens if you want to hit a draw and you hit a fade? Then you start overthinking.
Right.
And, they're very good around the greens. I had to learn a lot. I mean, I have very good hands around the greens, but I had to learn how to hit those high, soft shots. My caddy was giving me so many shots short-sighted. He's like, open the club of the face of the club. I'm like, it's open. Like, no, when I'm telling you open it, it's like, make sure that you have like
lay that thing on the ground. Right.
Yeah, a 180. I'm like, it feels like it's not gonna go anywhere, and I'm gonna have to scoop it, or I have to like turn it to go, and like, well, you have to practice that shot. So every time I go practice now, I try to feel like I chip with the face completely open, so I hit that high soft shot, and I'm getting better and better and better. Because what happened when we play in Latin America? Nothing against it. They don't prepare the courses.
It's just not necessary.
3 months in advance is not necessary, because the greens are not firm, are not super fast. So you don't need to open the blade. You hit those shots all the time. You try to get the ball to the hole. Now you can hit that high shot that is going to still release 6-7 paces.
Yeah.
So
in fact, I had a lesson with George yesterday before he left, and he wanted to work on some high shots, and I'm really, really good at hitting it high and spinning it. And so I said, why don't you show me? He wanted to work on it. And he's hitting them, maybe head high, not very high. And he's like, that's good enough. And I said, yeah, that's good enough for right now, but that's not going to be good enough if you're playing really, really firm, fast greens. And I actually had him, he has a 58. I had him try my 60, a T grind, just to show him what may have to happen at some point. If he has a good year, he's going to definitely have to add a higher, softer shot. And Jim's son, Luke, is one of my clients, and he's an incredibly good junior. And one of the things that we've noticed is better with him, and he's playing some high-level AJGAs, is he's really, really good at hitting it high and spinning it. And this may lead to a little bit to one of the things I wanted you to give some advice on, but I preach with the kids I coach that you have got to develop this shot early, because at some point, hopefully, you're going to need it. Like when you go play the PGA Tour, you can't bump and run 8-irons and pitching wedges everywhere. It's just not going to work. You're going to have to add loft. You're going to have to add spin. And so I love that you allowed me to say that, because I say that every time I'm on this podcast.
yes, 100%. And you're seeing guys that incorporate a 62 in their bag.
I just said that to George. It's like 62, insane. Man.
There's guys that have a 62 and a 58 and then a 50.
It's insane.
They don't care. They give up those other 2 wedges, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I can imagine.
I've been so good with my hands over the years because I'm not a long hitter. So I've learned how to make up and down all the time, that I'm gonna bust my time working on that open face to hit it high soft,
Yeah. So
Because-
yeah, go ahead.
Well, but just the past few years that working with my coach now under Sports Brand, who he won on the European Tour 12 plus times.
Wow.
Played the tour many years. So when I made the transition to him, I'm like, he's got to know a thing or two about how to play on the professional tour. So he's been so amazing to me, and he's helped me so much and guided me through things. And again,
That's amazing.
You guys saw the video. Jeff Clark is a mentor to me, and he played on tour. He had to retire because of epilepsy. So I got a lot of people or great people surrounding me, and it's just I landed in a good spot with the right people. And those are also things that sometimes we don't see as answers to our prayers, people who you surround yourself with.
I mean, you're seeing it more and more on the PGA Tour. It is you playing, but it's definitely a team. There's definitely a team behind the player. It's very much like an F1 team. Like there's the driver, but there is a lot going on behind the scenes with you guys, I'm sure. Now, you're the ones that have to hit it, though. Like I had a podcast with a coach recently where we said I think coaches get a little bit too much credit sometimes. But hopefully you have a coach, and it sounds like you do, that is pushing all the right buttons, looking at your performance. I did want to ask on like what the difference is, because as you said it a couple of times that you're kind of a shorter hitter. Is that something that now that you're on the PGA Tour, you feel like is something that you're trying to get faster or addressing, or are you pretty content with where you're hitting it and you have your strengths elsewhere? Like you're 143 pounds. Is that something that you're actively trying to change, or you're just, I'm sticking with what I've got? Because, and that's what pro golf has been, right? I mean, look at all the guys that are already long, like trying to get longer. It's not like, but also what you said, like with Latin, like maybe it's not necessarily necessary. Do you feel like it's necessary at the next level?
Yes and no, but here's why. I swing, depending what device you use, let's say average 110, on tournament 112.
A little bit amped up.
Yeah.
So you can get up to low 170 ball speed.
Yeah, 168. Yeah. I've never gotten to 170, but 160.
Okay.
Fly 280. I changed to TSR2. I changed the ball. Now I'm consistently flying 280. Now I can properly ride the downwind because I can keep the ball in the air. I get effective with the into the wind more, yeah, but I've learned how to club up,
Yeah.
Well, that's not an issue. Today was my first training session with the Stack.
Ah, okay, Stack. Maybe that's a new sponsor. I am also a fan of the Stack.
I reached out to the guy that developed it. He was so kind, and I was so interested about it. And this is why I'm using it. I'm not using it to hit it farther. Eventually, I will if I do it properly. But I'm using it so I can, let's say, I'm a 112. Let's say I bump my average to 116 over the next year and a half.
That would be nice.
But so I can keep it at 116, 114, 112 max over the lapse of 4 weeks on the road. And not see going down to like 105.
Right.
That's why I'm using it.
It's genius.
Because
it's very smart.
You can also mess up with your swing doing speed training.
100%.
Mess up with your technique. And I'm someone, if you take away my Sunday round in Puerto Rico, I'm someone that hits a lot of fairways. I hit 0 fairways in Puerto Rico on Sunday, so take that.
Okay.
But I hit a lot of fairways, and I remember I'm telling you this because I saw one of my good friends, a friend of mine, he put his predictions of final stage in Twitter, right? I'm going to read it to you, that I have it here, so you can see.
You probably got it like tattooed on something.
I could have, but the way he mentioned it is just, he described my golf game the best and who I am the best, He was like, his predictions were me and Hayden Springer in,
in between the ones he did the best.
I would have definitely hated.
His name is Alex Scott, and what he wrote about me was, this kid hates to lose. He shows up to play when he has to play, and he drives it on the stream.
Yeah.
That's me.
Which is invaluable.
That's me. I hate to lose. I'm a sore loser. Not that I will be mad to you or anything like that, but I will work twice as hard so the next time we face to face, I'm not only beating you, I'm beating you by 6, so you're going home crying.
That's good.
You know, that's who I am, and I love doing that. I remember I was in Dallas, and I went to play with Rafa Becker and George Toon and Narrow. We played TPC Craig Ranch that day. First time I go out on Craig Ranch.
Which is a long golf course. Yeah.
Flawless 63. Wow. Never seen the course. 63. I'm like, you guys know who's the boy in town here. So, but I've always admired Rafa. Rafa is such a laid back person, and he showed me what's like to enjoy life, enjoy the sport that we do, even though sometimes we get hit in the face.
Yeah. On
our own sport, doing what we love. So I don't know. That just definitely determines who I am as a person. It's like, more than being a sore loser is, I don't like getting defeated by challenges. You know, I missed the cut at Palm Springs. I was extra motivated to go next week. Of course, I'm doing these tweaks in my equipment that are giving me more consistency, but missing the cut this year in Mexico, being the only player from Mexico with a PGA Tour card this year, hit me in the face again. I'm like, what's going on? I was so close, but yet so far, I feel. You know? Then I go to Argentina to the Corn Ferry event a couple of weeks ago, and I get sick. I cruised through the first round without knowing the course because I had to go to the hospital on Tuesday, did a couple hours practice on Wednesday, and I didn't see the course at all. I shot 68 bogey-free. I'm like, well, maybe let's practice rounds and let's see the course.
Yeah, you don't need it. Maybe you play more conservative
this year. And of course, when you have status, when you have a card, when the points matter, if things change. You know, last year I played the Mexico Open, but the points didn't matter.
Yeah,
the experience was what mattered for me, and definitely this scenario is different. So
getting those points is huge.
I laid an egg going through the last 9 holes in Argentina, and I didn't make the cut. So yeah, that was hard, and I put good 5 or 6 hours of practice on Saturday, and a few hours of practice on Sunday. And those few hours that I put in those 2 days, that's what helped me make the cut in Puerto Rico. Also, because I think that making the cut at the opposite field events are key to my season.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't let those ones slip away. But
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what place I finish. I wish going forward, I'm going to push for the top 10s on those events because, again, they're key to my season. But making the cut in Puerto Rico was giving it peace to my head. You know, again, shot 10 under and finished T 42nd, but I made the cut and I didn't care what
That's
place.
That's still very validating.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. And I didn't make the cut and shot 1 under at an easy course. I pushed hard. I shot 10 under that there's 100, 35 players every week at least.
Yeah, and, at least.
They're so stacked together. It is an amazing challenge every day and every round out there on the tour because you fight something different every day. And the day that you feel like you have to take it inside to hit a fade and the day you have to feel that you take it outside to hit a draw, it's just golf. And that's why my caddy keeps reminding me, we put the work at home and we come here to play golf.
You show up. Yep, you show up ready to go.
Yeah. So I don't care if you want to
I told him, I don't want you to tell me start it in this line and finish it here. I just want you to tell me finish it left of the bunker, finish it right of the tree, this and so I know that how depending how I'm feeling that day, if I'm gonna aim 15, 30 yards left and cut it, or aim it straight and hit straight, or aim it right and rope it. Because it just depends how you're feeling every day. Sometimes you can aim straight and hit straight all day. Sometimes you gotta bend it a little bit to make it fairway bigger.
I rarely get to aim straight and it goes straight.
I don't see straight
I aim
shots.
down the middle because I don't know if it's going to go left or right. So if I aim down the middle, then maybe it'll end up good.
I don't see straight. I see curve. I see a lot of curve.
Yeah.
So for me, something that draws 3 yards, that someone is behind me saying you hit beautiful draws, I see those ones almost falling right or going straight.
Interesting.
For me to see a draw, I have to bend it 7-10 yards, and I'm still trying to understand what 7-10 yards look at 170 yards away, because sometimes you feel I moved it 15 yards left. I'm like, no, you moved it 6 to 7 yards, and that's not a lot. So that's when you understand your straight shot is a 3-yard draw.
Man, this has been great. I would love to pick your brain for just a minute, because a lot of our listeners are parents and juniors that are coming up and playing. A lot of them are going to go play in college. Some of them are going to hope to play professionally. Like, what would be just like number one advice for kids playing junior golf that have a desire to play in college, maybe professionally? Like, what would you tell them that would be like something that you would think would be really, really valuable?
Take notes of everything. Take notes of everything that you do. We laugh about what's his face?
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We laugh about him, but that is so good. So take notes of everything. Take notes of how you were feeling that day, but that's not the only thing. Take notes of, I shot 66, but what did you do that day? I woke up 3 hours before my tee time. I brushed my teeth with my left hand. I didn't go to the bathroom today. I had French toast and bacon for breakfast. I had a Coke for breakfast too. Whatever it is. But try to understand what made your body, your mind, your feelings be in sync for that day. Yeah. I had nothing to eat during the round, or I had 3 PB and jellies, or I had whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to do, but try to find those patterns.
What skill would you say you would say to juniors, like, practice this the most?
I'm trying to remember a little bit of my game when I was a junior. It is so up in the air. I mean, I'm playing with Miles Russell tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Number one 2027 grad.
And that kid is number 1 in the nation.
Yeah.
He hits it past me. He chips like the gods, and he's got an amazing stroke. What would I do if I were a junior still? Develop the love for the game. More than anything. Develop the love for failing. Develop the love for falling down, because then you're going to develop that resilience to stand up and say, I can't wait. If I'm going to fall down 100 times, or for every 100 times that I fall down, I'm going to stand up so strong and I'm going to go win one tournament. I can't wait to fall down the 100th time.
Yeah.
So develop that passion for the tough days. Man,
yeah, we are so bad at that, aren't we? We're so bad at that.
We're so bad. Yeah. We're like little kids. We're like 3 years old when we're not getting our candies. I had on summer I said I was done.
Really? You were done? You really were done?
Well, I was not really done, but I said
you were if I
don't get through second stage, then
I can't do this again.
I'm almost done. You know,
Yeah.
I will keep playing until I actually have something already lined up to do.
Yeah. Yeah, playing the same. I mean, again, no offense to any of the developers, but like waking up and doing that every day, every year, it's like it'd be easy to feel like I'm just not necessarily moving forward.
Yeah.
Especially in your case where you're just finishing like, 11th, 15th, 22nd. It's like, man, when is my break going to happen? And I'm so thankful that that happened for you because it's just an incredible story, man.
Yeah. And one other thing that I would say, and I think this is more focused on your junior, amateur, college guys, and this is something that my coach makes me do. And I'm very bad at it still, but I'm trying to, and I'm trying to get so much better at it because it actually works. It's you set a beginning and an ending to your practice. And that's how you feel that you are improving. Let's say you put 15 balls at 20 yards and you try to hit them within the 5% of your distance. So you try to hit them within, a couple yards,
Yeah, 3 feet. Yep.
Yeah, 6 feet. Either you set up your beginning as in like, I'm not gonna go home or finish this exercise until I hit 7 out of 10 or better. Or I'm gonna do this for an hour. And if in that hour I don't succeed and I don't hit those 7 out of 10, I'm done. But I will come back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And if in
That's
that
the key.
hour,
You got to come back tomorrow.
And if in 15 minutes you do it, you're done. That's your finish to your practice. So you see that you're improving. Otherwise, you're in a dark hole loop where there's no beginning, there's no ending, there's no, you're not seeing any improvement, and you're not gonna wait until you go out on the course and you have those scenarios present to yourself that you feel, oh, I'm improving. You don't have
having some objectively tracked performance-based practice is key, or else it is very, very difficult to know, like, hey, did I do any better today? I mean, because time is not a good metric for measuring someone's success. People come all the time. My kid's working so hard. He's spending so much time. And it's like, yeah, so is everybody. Everybody's spending a lot of time. But how are you measuring, like, the things that you're doing? So I think that's great advice, not only for juniors, but just like guys playing college, guys playing professionally. Like, at the end of the day, especially like someone like you who's going to have more and more commitments, like, making sure you're maximizing your time, even though you have lots of time, like you're not in school. I would think that would be like a huge game changer, because then it also gives you, like, I don't need to work on this so much. Like, I'm 5 days in a row of like nailing my yardages 20, 40, 60, 80 within 2 yards, 4 out of 5. Like, I mean, I can keep doing it, but I don't need to go. Like, I'm about to go play so-and-so course. I need to work on driving it because it's super, super tight. And I got to make sure I can hit 8 out of 10 within a 15-yard radius. So I would think that would really, really help.
Yeah. And just be very flexible around the greens. Don't only use your 60 also. Learn how to use your pitching wedge. Learn how to do the bump and runs when you're on a lower surface than the green. You're bump it over, against the heel and just try to get that release and not that release, and how to take spin off when you draw it, and how to, cut it a little bit and create more spin. Those things. Again, we said that we need on tour now these days, you need the high and soft shot and high spin shot. But yeah, sometimes you have that chip that is straightforward where you're just going to grab your 50 and you're going to hit that little chip that checks a little bit and just releases.
Yeah.
Just be versatile.
That's well said, man. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us. You have such a cool story. We will be absolutely rooting for you. I would love to hear how the Miles Russell round goes tomorrow, too.
I will tell you. I texted him. It's like, we're playing, right? Because I wasn't sure. It's like, yeah, 9-10. I'm like, you better bring your 8 game because I want to beat you. Last time,
I got to hear that score. I got to see that scorecard.
We played the stadium course, and we started on 10, and we're just joking around a little bit, hitting some shots, and not taking it serious. All of a sudden, I said, okay, let's play. We'll take it serious starting 1. He goes birdie 1, 2, 3, 4 from the back tees with me. He shot 4 under, I shot 5.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you got him.
But I felt defeated then by a 14-year-old kid just because how talented he is. I'm going to
Hey,
tell you,
man,
dude.
that little ball doesn't know how old you are, doesn't know your name, doesn't know anything, doesn't know how much money you have. It just knows where it's being told to go.
That's just in Mexico we say cachetada con guante blanco. It's just a slap on the face with a glove, a white glove. It's a gentle slap.
That is too funny.
That
Well, hey, on Instagram, you post the score tomorrow so we can all see, and then
I will. But that just shows you how much better kids these days are.
We could spend hours talking about that. It's
they
unbelievable.
Are young professional athletes.
Yeah. If you ever come to Dallas, we'll get you with a couple other really good kids.
Perfect.
I would love for you to play with.
I'll keep you guys posted every
time.
Yeah,
man, for sure.
Down, it's just almost a hit and run, and I'm gonna try to get early before the CJ Byron Nelson.
Yeah, for sure. That would be great. We'd love to meet up. That'd be awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Best place for people to follow you is on Instagram?
Yeah, most likely Instagram. I'm trying to step up on my game there and trying to keep everyone posted there. So Instagram is my to-go social media to post about my golf career. Facebook is just to waste time.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, man. Well, thanks for the time. Good luck the rest of the year, and we'll be rooting for you.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks.
All right, Andrew Lewis, welcome back to the Angle of Attack with Andrew Lewis.
Yeah, Jim, thanks, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, so last time we discussed, we're sort of in the 78 to 70, getting down to 76 category. And one of the things I wanted to discuss, we had Raul Pereda. That was great episode, by the way. Great interview.
Thank you.
And
it was fun.
Really enjoyed his positive outlook and his technical expertise on like his golf game and being able to articulate it. And one of the things like he knew relative now to the PGA being a PGA Tour rookie is that, his driving distance is probably below PGA Tour average, like pretty significantly below PGA Tour average. And he's able to make up for it in other ways. And it made me think about sort of this category of golfer that we've been talking about, this 78 to 76 category golfer. We talked about like high school golfers that are trying to be more competitive, or starting to compete in more sort of local events and wanting to do well there. Like when you have seen clients sort of in this category, when we talk about driving distance, like do you see that as sort of something that's coming into play and maybe a limiting factor relative to getting into those lower scores?
Yeah, for sure. Unless you're swinging, and we're going to say, again, this is a high school kid that's shooting 78 to 76. If you're that kid and you're swinging your driver less than 100 miles an hour, you're just flat out at a competitive disadvantage relative to your peers. And the reason that is because at this level, if you're playing high school events or 2-day events, the yardages are going to be 66 to 6,800 yards at a minimum, up to, somewhere in the 7,000 or low 7,000s. So at those yardages, hitting your driver 260, 270 yards at a maximum just means that you're hitting a lot of long irons in. You're probably not reaching par fives, to where there's a term I use a lot with players that are kind of in this category of like your personal par. Yes, the par of the course is 72, but personally, when you can't reach any of the par fives, when you have hybrids, woods, or long irons into par fours, you're just flat out, you're just going to miss a lot of greens. So the days that your chipping is really good, maybe you shoot, a lower to mid 70s, but majority of your rounds are going to be 76 to 78. And that's not because their skills aren't good. It's just the odds of what's likely going to happen over 18 holes if you like consistently have these shots. So yeah, for sure, I would definitely see this as one of the reasons someone might be shooting that.
And Raul mentioned he started using the stack, which you mentioned you're a proponent of. I'm definitely a proponent of. And we had Jared Phillips on way back in episode 3, I believe, where he was talking about, when and where to use it. So do you like prescribe that sort of stuff, or do you just like, here are the different swing speed options that are out there? I guess the one thing I wanted to get your perspective on, and I haven't quite solved for this, is like, how do you incorporate that versus like in season, say, like how do you keep building that momentum up without losing some of the skill stuff? Is that like a very fine line?
Yes, it makes sense. In season, I think like the way that Fitzpatrick or even Raul said is like they're using it to basically like maintain what they have. I don't think necessarily in season is where you're going to see a lot of speed gain, but I think the stack is helpful from what I've seen. Again, this is not research based, just from what I've seen with players. It helps them maintain what they have. When you're playing a lot, you're not doing necessarily a lot of range sessions. Like you for sure your club head speed goes down. So doing some specific speed training like the stack helps you maintain it. For a player, let's say that has lower club head speed, they're not necessarily looking to maintain their club head speed. They're looking to gain club head speed. So as far as prescribing it, I think I would say I do more than that because I'm not trying to get them to maintain it. So yeah, my first thing with a kid, if they're struggling with that, is to send them to someone like Jared. That's usually it's a fine line because if they're just smaller, take for example my son Cameron. He's just a late bloomer. He's just a little bit small. There's not a whole lot that can be done. Like he's not going to swing 110 by December. He's currently swinging 95, but he's going to see Jared. I mean, I think getting into the working out has been really helpful. He's definitely seeing speed gains. The stack is there as a piece of the puzzle, but it's not going to be the only thing that a kid's going to need. They're going to have to build muscle mass. They're going to have to build size. You're going to reach a point where you can only swing that thing so fast. So yeah, it's definitely there. The one thing I'd say is you just have to be careful when you're doing speed training, not from like hurting yourself. I've just seen it backfire with form issues. With the number one being probably like the length of swing getting like excessively long, the arm swing, because obviously if I can move the end of the club further, I'm producing more like potential in you to swing it faster. And that's great, but you still have to hit the golf ball where you want, have control of the low point and the curve. So I think you have to do the stack or things like that in the context of your general swing. And of course they do ask you like sometimes to do like 100% swing, and that's fine. But in general, getting that little radar to like say as fast as possible, like isn't the end all be all. Like you're not going to shoot lower because it for sure says, 5 miles an hour faster. It has to be done it has to be done in context.
The one thing it made me think is, I used to coach baseball, and in the younger years, especially because kids, they hate to strike out. They've got 20 parents screaming 40 different instructions at them when they're at the plate. No way.
Come on, parents aren't crazy.
But you have kids that maybe just want to try to make contact, and they're not really swinging with really intent to hit the ball hard, drive the ball hard. And some of that like first boost that you can see is just like allowing them to swing with intent. Like, do you ever see, maybe this is not necessarily in this category, but do you see golfers that are maybe a little too careful with their full swing because they're worried about swinging too hard, or maybe they've been told not swing too hard, like sort of those things you hear, like keep your head down, like don't, because like you see a lot of the modern golfers now, like they get into the ground, and I mean, look at Scotty Scheffler is a perfect example. Like, they just, Luke is another example, right? He just gets into the ground and he's violent, right?
Yeah.
And do you see like those coaches, those swings wouldn't have been coached 25 years ago, right? Someone who's like moving their feet in their swing. So do you ever see like golfers like that, or maybe there's just untapped potential because they haven't been given the freedom to actually like try to swing a little bit harder?
Yeah, as golfers, anytime you guys play golf, anytime you hit one bad, you almost always say an excuse. Like, I topped it, so I lifted my head. Or you hit it fat. Obviously, you kept your head down. Most parents, when they see their kid hit it bad, they say the same thing. Oh, you swung too hard. Oh, you swung out of your shoes. Oh, you just had bad rhythm. Or whatever it is, it's all the same thing saying, if you would swing slower, you would hit it better. Which is so dumb. It's just not even close to true. Yeah, you're just going to hit it less offline because you're hitting it shorter. That's basically what you're saying. At 300 yards, the cone is going to be bigger than 200 yards. Yeah. So yes, I do see that. I also see when kids don't hit on launch monitors often, they just don't realize how short they're hitting it relative to like how far they should be. For example, I had a lesson about a month ago with a kid, and he was saying that this kid on his team was out driving him by a lot. And I said, okay, well let's hit on track, man. And he was swinging about 102 miles an hour. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't seem crazy. I said, why don't you swing as fast as you can? The next swing was 108 miles an hour. And he's like, well, I could just never play like that. And I was like, you just flew at 275 in the air on a string. What do you mean you can't play like that? So part of it is we also condition ourselves to think, I can't swing like that. I can't swing at 95%. You can, if you practice swinging 95%, you can swing that hard. Half the time someone will come say, man, anytime I try to kill it, I always hit it good. So I would say most people don't play at their like peak speed, but when someone is intent, I like your word of intent, like someone has the intent of swinging hard, they definitely swing harder than if they don't think about it. Now, someone like my son Cameron, when he tries to swing harder, it does not go any faster because I don't think he has enough. The club's fairly long, plus he doesn't have a lot of muscle mass to move it any faster. But in general, if someone's a little bit older and more mature muscle-wise, I don't see that there usually is another gear that they can find. Yeah. Which, oh, by the way, did you guys see Xander at like 188 ball speed at the Players?
Yeah.
So like he found another gear. I think it was because of length of swing. He's leading less laid off, more cross. Obviously, the club's traveling further. But like maybe he, to a degree, was like, maybe I can swing 190. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like control. Let's just control the golf ball. Like, no, you don't need to control it. If you have control, it'll be there if you swing fast.
Yeah. And I guess related to baseball is, I mean, there's still this mantra, even in youth or in high school, about like, you know, you shouldn't bulk up because it's going to make you like less flexible and not be able to swing as fast. And if you ever go to even like a college baseball game, like everybody is a giant.
Yeah.
You know?
It looks like football players.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't see that at all. I mean, no, these guys are huge. No. Yeah, I don't think flexibility necessarily leads to like that much more club head speed. I'd rather have the muscle. I'd rather look like Bryson.
I went to a college golf tournament it was not Colonial. This year was at Shady Oaks. And pretty much every guy was like Quadzilla. It's like some of the biggest legs I've ever seen. These guys, these college golfers especially, are getting after it in the gym. There's no reason not to start now, right?
They're probably cruising 120, like low end.
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned cruising. Like, I think that's sort of what Raul was talking about. Is like, not necessarily going all in and try and be Matt Fitzpatrick, but like increasing his top end speed. Therefore, his cruising speed is going to be a couple miles an hour, and like you said, more sustainable over all the travel and everything. Playing back to back weeks and everything.
And I think that's where the stack is helpful. Obviously, it can help elevate your peak. I think it helps you get to your peak. If you want to raise your peak, you're going to have to do something in the gym, most likely. But it does help you establish and get to your peak for sure, and get there more often if you're trying to. Because club head speed, it fluctuates a lot. I mean, it really does. I'd say I see frequently 6-7 miles an hour differences just between guys, between weeks. Wet weather, I mean, obviously coming out of the winter, you're obviously swinging slower. In the summer, you're going to be hitting it further, not only because it's hotter, but just your body moves a little bit better. It's looser. So, yeah. But paying attention to it, like, again, it goes back to all the same stuff. Just like we talked about in the last episode of, chipping and putting things. It just needs to be paid attention to, just like all your other skills. It's important to see that improving, just like you see all your other skills improving. So if you don't have a plan for that, it should be part of your of your pie, like of everything I'm giving attention to.
Yeah, that's great. So if folks have more questions, you want to reach out, it's at Andrew Lewis Golf. Probably Instagram's probably the best way to reach you. I did want to mention Stack. We've talked about Stack a lot. They're not a sponsor, at least yet, right? But Sasha McKenzie is, I think, the founder of Stack. He's a biomechanist and really a brilliant kind of golf mind. a lot of good resources there. I would encourage folks to look into that, or there's other kind of competing swing speed things. They actually just came out with a radar, a little radar thing that Bluetooths to your phone, because their app is really user friendly. It'll program you what you need based on your baseline testing, but you had to sort of like say your speeds that you're getting from the radar translated to your phone. But now this like Bluetooth radar will automatically upload those things into the apps, which is pretty cool. And then the other thing is like TrackMan, actually they upgraded their software version, and there is a swing speed kind of thing on there. If you just click on swing speed, you can basically do swing speed training, and the swing speed will come up.
Very cool. It's very exciting.
Yeah. So this is really the new, they're going all in on this, right? I think it's, you see the pros dedicating their, to swing speed, and they're just these tools that are just making this speed training as easy as possible. So I just wanted to mention those things for people that are, out there and searching for information. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. Real quick. One last note, just because it needs to be said. The clubs are part of this. If you haven't been fit for clubs, or you think that your clubs are off from helping you generate a lot of speed, that would be something to be checked. That is, generally speaking, one of the first things I check when I see a new client. So definitely look into that aspect if you think that might be off.
But just some context there, like I imagine spin rate's a big, but like how much opportunity is there? Like do you see people coming in and they have like 3,600 spin rates and they're basically leaving 20 easy yards on the table, or?
Well, I think there's two. There's the club head speed, and then there's the efficiency at the same club head speed. Yes. Yeah. The with the driver, the spin is massive. That a lot of that though can be face contact. Assume it's in the center and you're spinning at 3,600. Yeah. You should go get a new driver or intentionally hit it high toe. If that doesn't work, then yeah, you can reach out to me. But I've seen 4 or 5 miles an hour gains with shafts for sure.
Wow.
In both ways. Again, I had a kid today, first lesson I had with him. He swings on the slow side, and he had shafts that are 20 grams heavier than mine by a fitter. And it's like, how is that possible that he got fit into those? And so I said, the first thing you got to do, the only thing I can do to help you is to tell you to go get new clubs. Like, he can't play golf in those clubs. So it's all part of it. Having a good fitter, having a good coach, having a good fitness coach, like all of those things are part of the equation. Not necessarily just for tour players, that competitive golfers that are in this 78 to 76. If you don't have that, start creating a team, and that will definitely help you increase the likelihood that you get to where you want to go. It's not a guarantee, but it should not hurt, especially if those people have a track record of doing good things with people.
You raised an interesting thing, because I think there's a distinction here between getting a fitting and having a fitter who's working in conjunction with your swing coach. So you guys are on the same page and communicating. That's probably this next level, right? Because someone may say, I went to the golf store and I bought the stock new TaylorMade, but I got it fitted, and they feel like, okay, I got fitted, I feel good about it, but they're, it may not be exactly what they need.
Yeah, I definitely have a list of fitters that I trust because I've seen the work for a period of time. Not that, you can go see I don't want to say generic fitter, but you can go see a normal fitting company or go to the PGA Superstore and it might be fine. If you want to make sure that you're getting stuff that you 100% believe is going to be good, then I would go to an established fitter. They do this full time. Talk to the coach that you have. They should have connections to someone that they think is good. And I think it's incredibly valuable. I just spent 3 hours. Cameron had a fitting this week. We just spent 3 hours with the guy that we've seen for 5 times in a row. And it's so refreshing. It's so nice to go there and know that what you're doing has a real impact on what he's about to have to use, versus being I don't really know if this is the right thing. And the thing that I left with today with that kid is he doesn't know. That kid doesn't know that these 115 gram shafts are too heavy. How would he know that? And so as the consumer, whatever we're buying, we put our trust in people that are in a position of authority. We just think, yeah, they know what they're talking about. And I'm here to tell you, just because they work in the golf business, that does not mean they know what they're talking about. Okay. So have a discerning ear and a discerning mind, or hire a coach that can help you with that, because that's all I'll say on that. Just be careful.
Yeah.
So.
The one thing I found, we'll go to the same fitter as you, but they have a vested interest in staying sort of like a half a step ahead of a junior golfer, right?
100%.
And like almost like obsessing about that, like thinking about the kid and where they're at and what they might be needing next. Often we hear from the fitter before we even think that we need to be thinking about being fit. So that's been a really great experience. Next level in my mind.
And again, this is further down the road stuff, I guess, but like on the idea of creating a team, and like I guess we could identify a team. I'm saying a coach, a fitness specialist, and then a fitter that you trust. Like, I'll tell juniors and parents that, and a lot of times it's met with like this, well, we're not really ready for that. And I always say, well, at what point should you be ready for that? And if you objectively define it, I would say at this level is kind of when this should be happening. Doesn't mean it can't happen earlier, and it shouldn't happen earlier, but like if it hasn't happened to this point, you're probably not going to progress a whole lot further than this point, unless you're just really, really good. And that does happen. Maybe you're going to blossom and grow and get stronger just generic or organically, and that's fine. But I'd say at this point, like, you should have a pretty solid team around you. So that may be a goal for someone listening if they don't, or a wake-up call.
Yeah, that's great advice, Andrew. So I really appreciate it, and look forward to next time. We'll go from 76 and start thinking about the things that differentiate a 76 shooter down to a 74 as we whittle finer and finer into this series. So I think
that sounds great. Looking forward to that.
Really great chatting. All right, talk to you soon.
Okay, yeah.
The Driven Golf Podcast is produced by Joseph K. If you like this episode, like it, subscribe, pass it on to a friend who might be interested. It really helps us out a lot. We'll be back in a couple weeks with the next episode. Until then, remember, in this great game, the journey is the gift. Enjoy the journey. From the hardest court of all, release the young prodigy. Winning as an amateur, future so promising. Looks are going pro, yeah, boy, there's no stopping me. Mama knows best, words signed off the college dream. The new Jack of Jackstown, yeah, you in his sights. This dolphin be golfing, climb to new heights. All A son on his way, never not a maybe. Breezing through the season like a field of days. Kids got no quitting, Raul ready for the fight. Graduated through the stages, the mama's pure the light. Pippin' back, not chippins, my man, I'm motorized. Tells Poppy's not stopping till he smells of Georgia pine. Driven golf artists here, keep the beat bumping. Pereda in the house, about to tell you something. Hit the mat 100 times, he gets up 100, fighting to the end. From the 100 to the 100. Driven golf artists here, keep the beat bumping. Pereda in the house, about to tell you something. Hit the mat 100 times, he gets up 100, fighting to the end. From the 100 to the 100. Driven golf, ritmo fuerte. Pereda en la casa, alma fuerte. Cae 100 veces, se levanta siempre, luchando hasta el final. Valientes. Driven golf, ritmo fuerte. Pereda en la casa, alma fuerte. Cae 100 veces, se levanta siempre, luchando hasta el final. Valientes. ¡Viva México! Celebremos sin cesar. Raúl Pereda, orgullo nacional.